Hi, I'm Charlie, and welcome to Doc Vlog Episode 2. So in this one, I just want to talk about what I'm doing for the animation and kind of what our thinking is there. I do think the film is going to need a little bit of animation in terms, just to sort of show where we're going, what the path is, and along the course of our doing it, we may also want to occasionally show on screen some kind of indicator of like, here's the path where we're going, here's how the Quadriverse works, and here's where we are on that path, here's what percent we are done. So all of that stuff is going to require some kind of on-screen imagery that can convey, hopefully in a quick and clear visual manner, here's where they need to go, here's where they are, this is what's happening, and sort of this is the from kind of a bird's eye view sort of thing. In the Kickstarter pitch video that I made there, I just made a very quick and dirty animation with a sort of dotted line that was not a precise chart of our course at all, but just to sort of give the idea of basically this is kind of like what we're doing here, right? We're going here and here and here. But it's got lots of text on it that's irrelevant to the viewer, so it's very ugly. And it's conveying a lot of information that doesn't need to be conveyed in the context of our film. People don't need to know what the name of this trail is that we're not even going on. They need to know where we are. They need to know what the mountain is. They need to know what our course is, and the rest of it's mostly irrelevant. So I've started working on some sort of basic proof of concepts for animation with that as the theory. One of the things, and this is one thing that I was experimenting with a little bit today, was this animation that I'll put up on the screen right now. And this is just a proof of concept for a kind of 3D version of a topographic map. So you can see that the light, I just used rectangles. I didn't want to actually draw out an actual map until I saw how it looked and whether or not it worked. But we've got different levels, different colors of green elevated at different levels to sort of indicate the topography, and obviously a real topo map would have a lot more levels than that and they'd be closer together. But for the purposes of this one, I just made 4. And then that little green square would represent us. Now you can see it's going through the levels here. Again, this is just something I did really quickly as kind of a proof of concept to see what would this really look like in practice. Could it work possibly? So that's what this is. It's just a kind of way to visualize an idea, and I think that's something that's really important to do. Now, looking at the results of this, it's okay. I think you can clearly tell that the green thing is kind of going up and then going back down, and we've got some nice camera movement, which I didn't spend a lot of time on the camera movement either. But because this is animated and it's in a 3D space, we can easily move the camera anywhere that we want to. If we were to animate it in this way, we could sort of have that 3D effect, and at the same time we can still move the camera around very freely to sort of give the best angle on where we are at any given moment, or where the path goes at every sort of twist and turn. Now, at the same time, I think there are definitely some issues with this, both in terms of visually how clear it is if you've got all these different levels, but they're sort of two-dimensional levels stacked on top of each other. There are some issues with how labor-intensive actually creating that would be, and how labor-intensive animating it would be. What would be the best method to sort of illustrate the path across 3D space there, which obviously makes it much more difficult. So I'm not 100% sold on this particular concept yet, and it's something that I'm going to keep thinking about and maybe working on, but I'm going to put together a couple other different proof of concepts to sort of different ways of illustrating and animating this to sort of see what looks best. And that's something that I'm going to be doing with a lot of the sort of visual aspects of this film, the animated stuff, which is there's not going to be a lot of animation obviously because it's mostly going to be video of us outside, but there will be also, titles on screen from time to time explaining where we are, what we're doing, how far we are, whatever. There's a lot of instances where you might want to have some titles on screen. So there's a lot of things that do require a little bit of animation, and that's all stuff that, especially since we have a lot of time right now, I can't even be shooting anything video because we don't have lights or anything like that yet. So this is a great time to sort of just be coming up with ideas, trying to find different looks, different colors, different styles, trying them out in a very simple way like this video here, just a sort of real quick, like throw it together kind of way to see what works, see what doesn't work. And then over time, as we find things that definitely do work, then we can start going back and start really sort of putting in the time to make them look exactly like the way that they would look in the movie. So that's one other thing that I'm doing right now, is spending a lot of time looking at different color palettes, different fonts, different, thinking about different styles of animation like this, and then trying to really think about making sure that all these choices are intentional. So I don't want to just say, oh, this font looks cool, or this animation style looks cool. But I want to really sort of try to think about, what is this film? What style of animation, or what sort of type of font, what kind of color palette is going to fit with the story that we're trying to tell? So for example, one animation style that I've been experimenting with is this sort of, you probably have seen it in other animations before, but it's a kind of text that it looks a little handwritten, and it like vibrates a little bit, it jitters a little bit as it's just standing on screen. And I think that is, I mean, I do think it looks cool, but there's lots of kinds of text animation that look cool. But what I like about that is it's a pretty subtle effect, so it's still very readable, it's very straightforward, it's not a like in-your-face crazy, graphic with explosions and stuff like that. And it conveys a little bit of kind of sort of like natural, homemade, human element to those on-screen graphics, and I think that fits well with this story, which is, it's three regular guys going out into nature and trying to do something kind of intense, and who knows whether we'll actually be able to do it or not. But I think that sort of natural, homemade, not 100% absolutely perfect sort of visual style for the titles is something that conceptually makes sense for the concept of the film. So that's another thing that I'm doing, is trying to spend some time thinking about the visual design and what conceptually fits with the story that we have. So that's just a little update on the animation side of things and the sort of visual effects side of things. And yeah, we'll leave it at that for today, and I will see you next time.